Since its arrival to our shores, the COVID-19 virus has affected every aspect of life as we know it. We can no longer gather, study, or work as we were accustomed to. We've had to endure lockdowns, restrictions, curfews, all in an effort to reduce the spread of this highly contagious illness. It has impacted us socially and financially. Our mental and physical health has been under severe stress. As of September 3rd, 2021, there has been 51 COVID-19 related deaths in Barbados. Medical officials are warning there could be more and are pleading with citizens to protect themselves, their loved ones, and our country. Salem Collector is one of the thousands of Barbadians who contracted COVID-19. He chose to share his story with us.
I'm 34 years old. I'm married. I have a son. He's 8 years old. Yeah, I come from a fairly big family. I was born here in Barbados. My parents are from India. And I have 3 sisters. One passed away and one brother. Yeah, I live with my wife, my son, and my niece. I was living with my mom, but she also passed away due to COVID.
All right, so you mentioned your mom and that she died from COVID, so I want to offer my condolences.
Okay, yeah.
But I want to also find out about your experience with COVID-19.
Well, I didn't know I had COVID-19. What happened? I had a cold and flu, a common cold and flu. And I had some symptoms, coughing, wheezing. I'm also asthmatic. And yeah, I was sneezing, had runny nose. And then that same week, my mom also got sick. She's not mobile, so she's moving around in a wheelchair and walker. And she fell twice that same week, so she was very weak. So it was one that whole week just having her out, moving her around, that sort of stuff. And she started getting sick. She was not doing well. The Monday morning, in the wee hours in the morning, we had to call the doctor because her saturation levels, her oxygen levels were very low. The doctor came and put the oximeter on her finger. They were like 50%, something like that. And the doctor said, we gotta call the ambulance and take her straight to the hospital. The ambulance came in a half an hour time. And she went to the hospital. The next morning, we received a call from the doctor saying that my mum has tested positive for COVID and the whole family has to be tested. And that shattered me right there. I say, because my mum is in a wheelchair and she used walking and she's not able to move around. Who's going to look after her now that she's in the hospital and that sort of stuff?
Now, this happened in February 2021, around the time of the national pause, when health authorities had said Barbados had reached the stage of community spread. So why did you think it was cold and flu and not COVID-19?
We thought at first it was just the common cold and flu. We had like coughing, a little wheezing, asthma, whatever. So we took some multivitamin Panadols, some cough syrups and vitamins, but it was not helping. But I did have the intention of going to the doctor that same morning. The same Monday morning, I went to the engineers, and my intention was going to go to the doctor. But then we received a call from QE saying that everyone have to go and get tested. Then I decided, well, I'm going to leave the doctor later and let me go and get tested first. Let's see what's happening. That same morning, me and my family, we went to the Wildy Gymnasium and got tested. We did the rapid test first. My came back positive. My son came back positive. My wife came back positive. And my niece. After lunch, then we did the PCR test. So those results went back to the lab. And the next day, they came back positive. Mine came back positive. The same day, they were saying that they're going to transfer us to Black McGulloch School at the isolation facility. But we received a call later on saying up there is full. They don't have any space. So they advised us to go back home and quarantine. And then if they get space by tomorrow, they will come for us. But when I leave the gymnasium and headed back home, my symptoms started getting even worse. I was short of breath, coughing a lot, wheezing. So I called my GP and I went straight to my general practitioner. And then he assessed me. He put his stethoscope on my lungs, and then he told me he was hearing some rattling in the lungs. So he advised me I gotta go to the hospital to get oxygen. So I went straight to QEH. I went there and I spent an hour there waiting on the doctor. The doctor came and assessed me, and then they swabbed me again. I told him I already got swabbed at the gymnasium, and it was positive. They told me that QH we still have to get swab over. So I swab at QH over again. And both the rapid test and the PCR test came out positive. So I spent the overnight in the QH in the outdoor tanks. They put me on the oxygen bottle. The next evening, I was transferred to Enmore compound, opposite the hospital. Right. I went there and I spent 1 day at Enmore compound. It was oxygen. But that same thing, the other PCR test results also came back positive. So the doctor came and said, well, we're going to transfer you now to Harrison Point, the premier ICU. So the ambulance came and take me to Harrison Point. But my mum, she was at QEH, but she was in stats room. Well, I was in tent on the outside. So I went to QEH the Monday night. And I think Tuesday morning, my mum got transferred to Harrison Point. And I went to Harrison Point the Wednesday evening. So we both were on premier ICU.
So while you were at QEH and then went over to Enmore, what happened to your family who remained at home quarantined?
Right, they were home at quarantine. And then the next day, the ambulance come and pick them up and take them to Black Mongolop. The space up there. So they went at Black Mongolop. But my wife, my son, my niece, they were all asymptomatic. They had no symptoms. So they just went there and spent like 2 weeks. And then they were discharged.
So tell me about your experience now, because you would have left from Enmore
And
and
they
then
went to Harrison Point.
transferred to Harrison Point.
Point. That's it.
Tell me about that. Can you vividly recall what happened?
Yes, I can recall what happened. Yeah. So it was at Enmore compound. They had me on oxygen the whole day. And then the evening, the doctor came over and told me she's going to transfer me now to Harrison Point because I'm really critically ill. So the ambulance came the evening and they took me to Harrison Point. And then when I went there at Harrison Point, then the doctor came over and did an assessment. And they realized that my saturation levels were really low. So they put me on face mask oxygen to see how it picks up. But my levels were still dropping. So then they had to increase my oxygen intake. They had to send up the levels some more. The next day, they put me on CPAP oxygen. So CPAP oxygen is a mask that's fit on your face really tight. And it helps push oxygen down your lungs. Because when they did the X-ray, the next day at Harrison Point, they said my lungs are collapsing. So I was very severely ill.
Was this painful in any way?
The part I cannot breathe, that was painful. Yeah. Like I just can't breathe on my own. I had to use oxygen.
So while at Harrison Point, did you get to see your mom?
Yeah, I went to Harrison Point Wednesday night and I saw my mum Thursday morning. Like Thursday morning, when I saw my mum, she was already in coma. She was intubated on ventilator. So when she was on a vet, I could see her or she would see me or I could talk to her. Right. So I just had a brief visit with my mum and then had to go back to my bed because I had to go back on oxygen.
What was it like seeing your mom like that?
I mean, it shattered me. I mean, I started to cry and I can't believe what was really happening. I thought, I just can't believe what was really happening. But then, so then the psychologist came over and she did some counseling. But then my illness started to get very serious. I was starting to get very critical ill. So they had me on CPAP oxygen every night. And then most of the day I was on CPAP oxygen.
And during that time, tell me about what was happening in terms of your mom, because she was very nearby.
Right, it was very both. My mum on one side and me on the other side. And we were all both on the same ward. She was just a couple beds away from me. Well, she only spent a week at because she passed away. She went there she went there Tuesday, and the following week she passed away. Yeah, she passed away around 23rd. Because then that same week, the doctors was coming and give me a little briefing on my mum, telling me that her blood pressure was very low and her organs were failing. And they were trying to get her blood pressure come back up, but it wasn't coming up. But she said she's really critically ill. And all I could do was just pray for her, to hope that she recover. But then, so then the Saturday morning, they took me back to saw my mum again on Saturday morning. I went and saw her, and she was still on ventilator, and she was still in coma intubated. But this time now she was on her stomach lying down. Because they say with the COVID, your lungs are in your back. so they don't put you on your back to lay down. So they had she on her stomach, and so she was still in coma. So I just got saw her, and then the Tuesday morning early, the doctors come and wake me up because they normally take me off of CPAP around 6 in the morning. But that morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, they took me off of CPAP, and I was like shocked. Why they take me off so early? And then they said, Mr. Collector, well, we have some very sad news to you. You know, we was updating you with your mom, telling you how your mom, how her pressure was low and her organs were failing, but unfortunately she has passed away. And I just couldn't believe it. I started crying, and then so I tell the doctor, if you can get the orderly to take me there on the wheelchair and the oxygen bottle, and we go see my mom. Yeah, and I went there and I saw her, and then she was just lying down, covered in a sheet with a face mask on her face. And then they took my phone and did a video call and showed my sister. I called her that mom had just passed away. From God we came, to God we return.
In that moment, what were the thoughts you guys had with regards to the seriousness of COVID 19?
We we always thought, like we had a thought, that COVID's there, but we didn't take it that serious. But no, but seeing that the experience I went through and see what my mom went through is real. COVID is real,
There are people who don't believe it's
and there's
real.
a lot of people who don't believe it. Yeah. But that's very unfortunate. But it's real. I went through it, and what I experienced, I don't wish that on no one. It's that serious.
Explain some of the things that you definitely would not want anybody else to experience.
The worst part of COVID was the oxygen. I mean, the amount of CPAP oxygen you all use when that mask is put on your face, it's so tight, it's so uncomfortable. Like your throat is so dry. Like you want to drink water, but you can't drink water because the doctor said if you drink water, the water will go in your lungs and you could die. So you have to keep it on for like 7 or 8 hours. And I think your throat is dry. And then after, when they take off the CPAP, the first thing the doctor come and do, they draw blood from your arteries. They have to check the blood gases in your blood, the oxygen levels. And they pull that blood from your artery or your wrist. So that's even more painful. So like they stick you once, if they don't get it, they stick you again, they stick you like 3, 4 things. So they actually find that artery. And that was painful. And then if they can't find the wrist, they stick you in the leg. And that was painful. That's it.
Tell us about the gradual return to normalcy for you.
Well, it took a long time before I returned to normalcy because my first 2 weeks I was really critically ill. I was actually on bed. I couldn't leave the bed. Matter of fact, the first week when I was at her at some point, I took it on myself to get up and get out of bed and go and use the washroom. So I actually took off the face mask and take off the oxymeter off my finger that's connected with the cable to the computer. I took off all that. I went to the washroom. I actually walked and went to the washroom, use the washroom, and on my way back to the bed, all of a sudden I just started feeling like lightheaded and dizzy. I just didn't know what was going on. They just dropped straight down on the ground. And they just passed out for a couple of seconds. And the nurses rushed and came to me. And then I catch myself, I was like shouting nurses to them, oxygen, oxygen, I need oxygen. The orderlies came and lift me and take me back on the bed. They put me on the bed. And the doctor came and the doctor said, look, Mr. Collector, you're not supposed to leave your bed. Your saturation level is at 60%. You need to stay on the bed. If you need to use the toilet, you'll use a potty, you get a sponge off, shower at the bed. Everything's at the bed. It's from a third week, the physiotherapist came and then we started some little exercises in the bed. I started stretching my legs and stretching my hands. I did some sit-ups, stand-ups. And then from there on, then she told me to do a couple of little steps, take a little walking steps in the ward. Because after 3 weeks in bed, all my joints were stiff. They were all seized up. So she had to actually hold my hand and we had to walk, and so it was that serious, yeah.
How long did the entire recovery process last for you?
As in,
You were at some point.
Right. I was there for 4 weeks.
So you were there for 4 weeks.
All right, yeah.
So you were discharged when you were better, when you were COVID-19 negative?
Well, yeah, before I got discharged, I had to do 2 COVID tests. So they swabbed me twice. So they swabbed me first, and the results went into the lab, and they came back negative. Then they swabbed me the second time, and then the results came back negative. During my stay at some point, I developed 2 blood clots in my lungs when they did the X-rays. So unfortunately, at some point, they don't have the CT machine to do the CAT scan. So then I had to be sent to QEH to do the CAT scan. And the doctor also recommended I do an echo test on the heart to see what's the condition of the heart. So after 4 weeks at some point, then I was transferred to QEH. And I went there and spent 1 week. The same very night I went to QEH, they did the CAT scan. And then 2 days after, they did the echo test. The echo test came back normal. But the CAT scan did show the two blood clots on the lungs. The one on the right lung is more bigger than the one on the left lung. So the doctor got me on blood thinner medications to help dissolve the blood clots. So I'm still presently on the blood thinners as we speak.
Walk me through the timeline. So you got COVID in February 2021.
Right.
It
I,
is
I,
now
got it, I got it just a week into the lockdown. Because remember we had the lockdown in February.
right,
So
but it is now September 2021, and you're
yeah.
still on medication.
Yeah, we're still on medication for blood thinners.
For blood thinner medication due to a condition that you developed while you were COVID-19 positive.
COVID-19 positive, yes. That's
So
it.
technically, you are still in recovery.
I'm still in recovery stage, yes. But I've recovered far more better than how I was back then. Because even though I was discharged from QEH, I still had to go home and recover for another 2 months. Because I was still at home using supplementary oxygen. So I had to use oxygen bottles at home. And that was a cost to me because I had to refill those bottles every week. And a bottle only lasted like 4 nights. And they were quite costly, like $90 to refill a bottle. Yeah, so I mean, every week I had like 2 bottles to get refilled. And I did afford it and stuff like that. But I mean, but it's a cost to it. It's a cost to the healthcare system, and also cost you as personal expense.
So initially, when you heard you had COVID-19, would you have ever thought your experience would have been anything like that?
No, my experience, I never thought. Well, I mean, but back then they said we had transmission, we had local transmission, and then we had community spread. But I followed the protocols. It was wearing masks, it was sanitizing, physical distancing, that sort of stuff. But somewhere along the line, you just caught it. And when I went to GS that morning and get tested positive, I mean, but I know it was had the old cold or flu, but I didn't know it was COVID related.
I found it interesting. You said you were following the protocols,
Right.
yet you still got COVID-19.
You don't see COVID. You don't see it, but you catch it from somewhere. I don't know if it's close contact with someone or if I touched a service and they picked it up. I mean, but I don't know where you catch it from.
You live in a household with many people.
Well, not very many people. It's me, my mom, my wife, my son, and my niece. Yeah.
So, do you think that there was a lapse in terms of, when you came from outside and you were coming inside?
But we as a family, we never blame it on one another, saying that you bring home COVID or she bring home COVID. Right? We just say like, it was supposed to happen, go on planning, and it happened, and it happened. So we just accept the fact that it happened and just move on with it.
So it's September now,
Right.
and Barbados has received several vaccine options
Right.
for its citizens.
Yes, yes.
Is that something you will consider when you get the all clear?
I am fully vaccinated already. Yeah, because when I went to QEH in May to see Dr. Hassel, she advised me to go ahead and take the vaccines. Because my concern was that they had areas of concern that the AstraZeneca were giving me blood clots. But she said I don't have to fear that because I'm already on blood thinner capsules. So if I get a blood clot, it will dissolve itself with the capsules. So she advised me to go ahead and take the full vaccine, to take both doses.
So is your family all vaccinated?
Yes, my family's all vaccinated. Well, yeah, we decided we want to be vaccinated because what we went through, the experience we went through, the experience my mom went through. So then we decided that let's all go ahead and take the vaccine.
Tell me about the discussion to protect yourselves after COVID 19 as a family.
Yeah, well, now we step up our gears. So now I try to use. Well, now I use the N95 masks rather than instead of cloth masks. So back then I was using cloth masks. So I step up on my masks, and then I do more sanitizing, more physical distancing. Try to try to try to more outdoors rather than indoors. Try to avoid all those unventilated spaces and all that stuff.
So, what have you in particular learned from this entire experience regarding COVID 19?
Well, we are still living in the experience of COVID-19, I mean, because it's a fluid situation. It changes every day. But like I say, just keep out your gear, follow protocols, and stuff like that.
Given your experience, what advice do you have for Barbadians?
My advice to Barbadians: go ahead and take the vaccine, because if you catch COVID, you're gonna end up being hospitalized. You're gonna put a burden on the healthcare system. You're gonna put a burden on yourself, on your body. You're gonna put a burden on your family. You're gonna put a burden on your friends. So take the vaccine, wear your mask, sanitize, do your physical distancing, avoid large crowds.
Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, well, I want to give a special thank you to the government of Barbados, the Ministry of Health, for the facilities at Harrison Point. It was a very excellent facility, I must say. The food was great, the service was great for housekeeping, body laundry. I mean, orderlies, all those guys, all the doctors that look after my visit, the whole medical team. I want to say a special thank you to Dr. Hassel, Dr. St. John, Dr. Governor, Dr. Sandyford, Dr. Graham, all the nurses and Nurse Michael, all those guys that look after me. You guys are doing an excellent job. Keep up the good works. God bless you guys.
Well, given what is being said now, what were your meals like when you were at Harrison Point?
Oh, my meals were fantastic at Harrison Point. Yeah, actually, yeah, I really enjoyed those meals. Yeah, I mean, for breakfast we had eggs, we had omelette. Some days we had pancake. We got a whole set of fruits. Um, you got baked beans. Then some days, it was a whole set of meals. You got like tuna. So the meals were good. I mean, for lunch we just got like rice. Some days you get like whole grains, pasta, steamed veg, salad. Well, I was only eating fish, so I was getting fish up there. And then for supper some days you get like a patty, a veggie patty. You get different stuff, but the food was great. I can't complain. And the service is excellent. So I don't know why the agents are complaining like food's not as good, but I enjoyed my stay there.
Barring all the illness, that part was
Yeah,
good.
that part was good. Yeah.
Okay, so what about the facilities? Describe it for somebody who have never been and hopefully will not have to go.
Yeah, the facility is a great A-class facility. I mean, thanks to the government of Barbados for providing such a state-of-the-art facility. I mean, because if we didn't have a facility, what would happen to us? So I mean, it was a good thing on the government part to provide facilities here for COVID-19. I mean, the washrooms are always well kept clean. Orderlies were always there. Housekeeping was always in and out. All right, so the facilities are well maintained.
All right. Well, Salim, I really want to thank you for sharing your experience. I know it obviously wasn't easy, but I believe that somebody will learn from your experience. And obviously, we hope you never have to go through it again.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.